It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, a good day, and once again, we welcome you to County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and returning with us here after the first part earlier in the week, Allison Lenoker is the Executive Director, the Coalition for Compassion and Justice, and we're doing two parts. I thought in the first segment, Allison, you really laid out very well why and how we have a homelessness problem in rural Yavapai County, just like Los Angeles and some of the big cities. The numbers are different, but the issues largely are the same. The reasons folks are finding themselves homeless or partially homeless, living in cars, whatever it may be, that's happening nationally and will continue to for a while. And efforts are being taken underway at local levels, and that seems to be maybe one of the best ways to kind of address this matter. There's a big, I'm going to have you turn it over to you a little bit. There's a big project that is happening, a building project for housing homeless folks that is well underway now in Chino Valley. Kind of talk me through that. First of all, how did you identify Chino Valley? Is it because there's a lot of homeless folks there, or will it serve a bigger area?
To be honest, it's where we found land. In Prescott proper, we don't have a whole lot of open land.
Okay.
We knew we wanted to do this project. We currently have 25 units of affordable housing in Prescott.
Okay.
And we have a few different models for that. So we have what we call our cottages, which are essentially 8 by 10 rooms that are behind a house that we already own. They are not tiny homes.
Okay.
Because that wouldn't be allowed permit-wise. So we call them extended rooms. Or right now they're called auxiliary dwelling units.
Okay.
So we have those cottages. We have what we call our lodges, which are essentially 2 6-bedroom homes that we house 6 people in each. Each one of those rooms has an exterior exit. Okay. So it feels, and you have a little patio, it feels like an apartment. So we have 2 of those, and then we have some mobile and RV units in a park right now in Prescott. So we have all these different types of housing, and we thought to ourselves, who do we want to serve? Well, we want to serve those families who are either cost burdened or experiencing homelessness. We want to be able to serve the older community who maybe is on a fixed income, and when their rent goes up, they can't ask for a raise. Right. So we found this land in Chino Valley. It's 4 acres. It's on the very north end of Chino Valley, right when you start going towards Paulden. And we are going to be developing a 25-unit manufactured home park on that 4 acres. We currently have a well that is producing water, which is what wells are supposed to do. So I'm pretty excited.
Start there.
Yeah.
Right.
We're doing on-site improvements, cutting in roads, utility plans, septic system. So all that is underway right now. This type of housing, I get this asked a lot, is if it's only going to be for Chino Valley residents. My answer is no. The reason for that is because if I have a family in need in Prescott Valley, and I maybe have someone else who has a couch to crash on right now, I'm going to be serving the most vulnerable. Right. I also get asked a lot if I'm just moving people in right from the shelter or right from the street into these homes. The answer is yes and no. I usually will prioritize anyone who's staying in a shelter, but they have to be ready to be housed. Being ready to be housed has a few different components. They have to have income coming in from somewhere. We have to make sure that although we are compassionate property owners, we do background checks. This will be family oriented, so there are some felonies that will not be we won't be able to have in the park or in the community. We also make sure that there's some systems in place. So if someone is struggling with something, let's say it's a veteran, I'll work with the VA and we'll get services set up for that individual prior to moving them in so that we set them up for success. We never want to be part of the problem. So I never want to move somebody in that I'm thinking, oh man, in 6 months, they may be back to square one again. Right. So we try to get some safeguards in place before they move in so that when they move in, they're set up for success.
There's going to be a slip and fall from time to time.
Oh, absolutely.
That just happens. You know that better than I ever would. But the idea is to kind of get on the path and then just kind of get going. I want to slip back to something that you said there that kind of took my attention. We talked in our first show a lot about homelessness and a lot of the stereotypes and the prejudice that gets applied to that. You just said something about reiterate for me if I got it mistaken, that they have to be housed, they have to have some kind of income?
And we help them get that.
That could be a paycheck.
Yep, that
Social
could be
Security,
a paycheck, Social Security,
disability,
any of those things. And we help them do that.
See, I think that would startle a lot of people who, here again, go back to the stereotype of the guy talking to himself walking down the street.
Right.
Not to diminish their needs, folks that are in that with clear mental health issues, but to assume that so many, if not a huge majorities of homeless people are in that boat is just not correct.
Yeah. And I think... And it's one of those things too, where we look at, well, you're going to be housing people who are homeless.
Yeah.
Yes. But we have to remember that the folks that are experiencing homelessness right now are just like you and I.
Right.
And so again,
they didn't choose it and almost certainly don't desire it.
No. And you'll hear most people say, I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to get off the street.
Right.
So what we do is we really help them with that. One of our programs is an advocacy program, and we will actually have a live-in advocate at Paloma Village, which is the name of the Chino Valley community.
Gotcha.
We will actually have one of our staff in there living, and they will be that person that if someone, let's say I lose my job, I can go to that advocate the day I lose my job, and I can say, I might need a little bit of time on rent this month, which will say, great.
Right.
They might say, I also might need help doing my resume because I haven't done it in 10 years. Great. We'll do that too. And we can hook them up with any sort of services that they may need. Just because someone has a life event, losing their job, for example, does not mean that we are going to just say, okay, get out. We work with people. If I have someone come to me in one of my units right now and says, hey, Allison, I got to go to treatment for 30 days. I thought I had the drinking under control. It kind of snuck back up. I hold their room for 30 days.
Right.
The beauty about...
you've got to, here again, for folks in the listening audience, what kind of strength of character did it take to do that? To come to you and say, I slipped, I screwed up, I made a mistake. Please don't wash me out of this program. I want to get back,
And folks aren't used to that. So what we always encourage is just communicate with us.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I don't care if you slipped back in, if you started drinking a little bit more. I care about you being healthy. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be able to come to me and say, this is the situation. And usually for our clients, it'll take 1 or 2 times for us to have to approach them and go, we feel like something might be going on.
Yeah.
What is it?
Right.
Until then they come to us. We kind of have to think about it, and this is the way I think about it, is every time we meet someone who is experiencing homelessness, that quite possibly is the worst moment in their life. Mm-hmm. I can't judge someone on their worst, the way that they are on their worst moment in their life.
Right.
So what we often have to take into consideration is that maybe prior to this, they've had to lie, cheat, and steal to get things in order to survive.
Yeah.
And what we do at CCJ is our advocate will sit down and go, listen, you don't have to do that anymore. You need clothes? Don't shoplift from Walmart. I have a thrift store. We'll give you clothes.
Right.
You need food? Here's where you can go to get that. And so once folks start to realize that there is no shame in asking for help and that there is help out there, then it just gets a bit easier for them. I think that even our toughest clients who maybe have moved on and have gone and done other things, I mean, I get letters constantly. I mean, even some of our clients where we've had to say, hey, we might have to call law enforcement. I get a letter from them 6 months down the road that says, I'm so glad that you guys did that. And justice is in our name. So when we talk about, the Coalition for Compassion and Justice, we look at if there's injustices going on against our clients, we fight with them, not for them. We fight with them. Also, the same thing kind of goes for us. If we see that maybe, someone's living in our housing and all of a sudden a boat has been bought or a Lexus or, the Amazon packages are rolling in.
There's going to be gamers.
Exactly.
There's going to happen.
And that's a conversation that we have with our clients. We're very relational. No one's just a number. No one's just an initial. We're very relational with the folks that we work with. And, sometimes I have 2 older gentlemen who I call my grumpy old men. It's a real life odd couple. Like they hate each other, but they also love each other very, very much. I've gone over there sometimes and been like, hey, how you guys doing? What do you need? And he has literally been like, nothing, get out. Great.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week or next month. And although sometimes they don't need that help.
Right.
That's great, but I'm still going to go in and check in.
You've got to, to even think about, kind of tapping into the psyche of anybody walking down the street, you and I, anybody in this building right now, let alone folks who, like you said, often are coming out of or are in one of the worst times of their life. The illustration that you gave about the guy who'd had some problems, some legal entanglements, some substance issues, and then ended up on the straight and narrow. And I think that's what we miss, and a lot of people don't think about. It's homelessness, housing folks out of the cold, out of the rain, out of the snow. Yes, that's great. That's just survival mode.
Exactly.
But the confidence that it gives them, the chance to see opportunity, to even see, well, the light's not only there, it's lit and it's getting brighter. That's what I think is really at the root of when you have these success stories, that's what's happening.
Oh, and that's what keeps us going. If you think, we see people, just their appearance, their confidence, when their dignity is restored, we see that in them. I always tell this story. I had a gentleman, again, longtime client of ours, really struggled with alcohol at one point. He had significant health issues, and he almost died a couple of times in our shelter.
Wow.
He was housed for about 2 years, lost his housing. While he was housed, he got a dog, a support dog. Well, he fell into homelessness again. By the grace of God, I had a unit open, and he was struggling health-wise. Yeah. I moved him in, and he's been with us for about a year. And when we moved him in, his dog, just the demeanor, he was constantly looking around. He was never relaxed. The dog was just an anxiety-filled pup.
Right.
He now comes into our offices, and that dog does laps. He's like a puppy again. Yeah. And so we look at how much...
He's reflecting.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm housed now. I don't have to watch my back all the time. I don't, and I think that when we look at restoring dignity and showing someone that there is light at the end of the tunnel, it works for humans, but it also works for animals. And because, again, we're low barrier in our housing and in our shelter... just because you have a dog doesn't mean I'm not going to house you.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And that's what keeps us doing what we're doing. I can't wait for Paloma to open and us to move in the first few folks and then just be able to see and give them an opportunity to go, okay, I can breathe now. Right. And now I can move to the next step.
I want to do that. We need to take a short break here, and when we come back, I do want to talk because the community voiced concerns. There were public forums, as there always are, and there should be, as you kind of worked your way through the process. I want to get maybe what some of the concerns were, if those remain, where you're at, kind of within the feeling, the temperature of the community, if you will. So we'll do that with our guest, Allison Lenoker, the Coalition for Compassion and Justice, and we'll be back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley. And your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Hi, this is Lewis Rice with Rice Accounting, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, with a very sincere thank you for your continued business over the last 20 years. All of us at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service are very honored for the many community awards we've been given over the years. As always, we are open year-round, providing services for taxes, payroll, and bookkeeping. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona, can help you with all your tax and accounting needs. For our nearest location, call 800-234-1040.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We come back to the program. It is countywide again with the Coalition for Compassion and Justice. Allison Lenoker, based primarily in the Tri-Cities, but serving really all of Yavapai County with their outreach and the good work that they've done. For how long? How long has the coalition been?
22 years.
Okay, I didn't ask you that.
Yeah, 22 years.
Sounds like you've got a lot of water under the bridge, and there's still work to be done. Let's go back of the big project that is happening, Paloma Village, 25-unit manufactured home community on 4 acres in Chino Valley. And you've got a well, you've got some infrastructure begun. When do we think we'll begin housing residents? And I want to ask you more, too, about the process. There had to be permitting meetings in public. How has the community welcomed or not welcomed this?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of apprehension, and we expected that.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're giving out as much information as humanly possible so that we can lower those anxieties. I welcome anyone to come and talk to me if they have concerns, and exactly what those concerns are. Some of the concerns were that we would end up being the stereotypical Section 8 HUD housing. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are building a prison
without fences.
Right.
That's how some people, I think, really do see projects like this.
There is a stringent vetting process that we go through. Yeah. Now, when I say that we're compassionate, I mean that I'm going to house the guy with a DUI 5 years ago, whereas maybe a traditional property management company wouldn't.
Right.
We have a very stringent vetting process. When people think of Section 8 or these types of quote unquote affordable housing, affordable housing has become this really dirty word.
It doesn't mean what it ever used to.
No, it's completely different. Right. And when we say affordable, I mean affordable for that working family.
Right.
Affordable for someone on a fixed income. We will be taking vouchers for things like veteran services, HUD-VASH vouchers, things of that nature.
Okay.
And if we do have more Section 8 housing vouchers come into the area, I'm not going to discount that. Something that people forget about Section 8 vouchers is that if you are lucky enough to get one, which is sometimes it's a years-long wait, if you're lucky enough to get one and then you move into that unit and you ruin that, you don't get another voucher.
Well, that seems right.
And so that, I think there's a lot of misconception about those. Yeah. But no, that stereotypical Caprini Green thing, we're not doing that. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful community that is going to be for your neighbors, for your cousin that's fallen in, on hard times.
That's what I think so often gets overlooked. And we do that in so many of the things we do. On this program, we talk to an awful lot of nonprofit organizations. And whether it's the food shelters, whether it's folks who do work like you do, whatever it is, we oftentimes forget that these could be people your kids might go to school with, the kids of the folks you're serving. They could be coworkers. They could be former schoolmates. And they are those kinds of things.
And we're seeing that a lot of the school districts in the area, Chino Valley, Dewey, Humboldt, they're starting out with more homeless kids in the semester, at the end of the semester, than they did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Chino Valley, they have a high number of homeless families with children.
Right.
And so, again, just because someone isn't visible doesn't mean they're not struggling. Just because you don't see someone panhandling on the corner doesn't mean you don't have households that are doubled and tripled up. Another question I got a lot is, well, how are you going to make sure that there's not 8 people living in a 2-bedroom?
Right.
Every month, my property manager and my maintenance and facility director walk through every single unit that we own and operate.
And you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the bodies aren't there in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell if it's overpopulated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so we walk through all of our units to make, not just because we want to make sure that health and safety is being upkept, but also to check in.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? We had a situation where we had someone who, we noticed that there was like 4 cases of beer piled up. And the question was, are we having a big party this weekend? Like, what's going on? And so we're not intrusive, but we also do that.
Being responsible.
Yeah. We want to make sure that hoarding isn't happening, or that, we want to make sure that everyone is healthy and that they can get to the restroom. And if we need to put grab bars, whatever that looks like. So we have really also stringent walkthroughs every month. And then, of course, I'm going to have a CCJ advocate in Paloma Village.
Right.
That's going to be the person that's going to go, all right, hey, so-and-so has a car over here. Or maybe we need to ask a couple questions and things of that nature. So we definitely keep an eye and our thumb on all of our units to make sure that, our lease agreement is being upheld. That's another thing, is a lot of people think we don't have lease agreements. We absolutely have lease agreements that have rules and regulations, just like if you were renting an apartment or a house.
I assume those would be kind of tailored toward the person the individual, on an individual basis of whom you're dealing with, based on ability to pay, or?
Not necessarily. Our rules and regulations are pretty much across the board.
Okay.
But when we look at, for example, we have a client who gets her check on the 15th rather than the 1st, then if the release agreement says that her rent is due on the 1st, but we can make an arrangement with her so that she can pay it on the 15th, we'll tailor it to them that way.
That. Okay.
But rules and regulations we're pretty strict on, just because, we want to make sure that this program is sustainable. I mean, right now our funding comes from grants, foundational giving, and private donors. I don't take any sort of government funding. And this is a big project. Sometimes
obviously.
Yeah. And so I think that because our funding sources are not governmental, I can move quick.
Yeah.
If somebody needs a birth certificate and they're either in our housing or maybe they're housed someplace else, we can get them a birth certificate very quickly. And the same with our housing.
Yeah. State, federal fund, those so quickly are a double-edged sword. We hear it from so many different organizations like yours, that the burdens that it places on you almost aren't kind of worth it.
I'm an only child. Don't tell me what to do with my money. Just let me spend it.
Well, if you find yourself in a clearly welcoming and giving community, like so many nonprofits come on this show and explain to us, describe for us, well, then you can make things like this work, and they can go for 22 years plus. Final question, then, simply in Chino Valley, Paloma Village. Do we have a grand opening date, or is that?
Because it's
I don't want to put you on the spot, because I know you got a lot to go yet.
Because it's construction, it never moves as quickly as we want it to. Right. So we are hoping by the end of 2024 that we will have some homes placed.
Okay.
Can't make any guarantees. But we are hoping that we'll have a good start on it. And we're really excited we have a really good relationship with the city of Prescott and the city of Prescott Valley.
Right.
I mean, the town of Prescott Valley has already said, okay, when Paloma's done, we're doing Paloma number 2.
Really?
Oh yeah. The town of Prescott Valley has been extremely supportive of us, as has Prescott, and as is Chino. I think that once we kind of got over that hump of having a lot of those questions. Right. I mean, I know for myself, I'm excited to make more partnerships out there. We have some pretty strong ones as it is. So we're just excited. And, ending homelessness and preventing homelessness seems like it has no solution, but I really, I get excited when I talk about the work that we do, because I know it makes a difference, and I know that we're working towards that solution. So we're really excited.
That's a terrific way to end our get together here on this program and the one prior. And again, Allison Lenoker, Coalition for Compassion and Justice. One more time with the phone number. The website is yavapai.ccj.org. CCJ is in Coalition for Compassion and Justice. So yavapai.ccj.org. Good website. I took a look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, great information to get anyone kind of started there.
Absolutely. And we're physically located with our thrift store at 531 Madison Avenue in Prescott. We do share a parking lot with Napa Auto Parts. And our phone number is 928-445-8382.
Sounds great. It's big things in the future for the Coalition for Compassion and Justice. Our guest again, Allison Lenoker. I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Hi, this is Lewis Rice with Rice Accounting, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, with a very sincere thank you for your continued business over the last 20 years. All of us at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service are very honored for the many community awards we've been given over the years. As always, we are open year-round, providing services for taxes, payroll, and bookkeeping. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona, can help you with all your tax and accounting needs. For our nearest location, call 800-234-1040.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farm.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.